In the last episode, I made this amazing ore processing machine that takes in raw ore and it outputs ingots and also random other materials for some reason, because that's just how the create mod works. But I just finished processing 9 stacks of copper, and that's like a sixth of all the copper I have because I have way too much, and it took about an hour and a half, and also it managed to lose half a stack in the process, and I'm pretty sure since items are actually in item form here, it just despawned. But that's an issue. Luckily, it's a solvable issue. This thing is really slow. You can see how slow these are rotating, and if we were to break down into a part where it has conveyor belts, they're also going really slow. It's currently running at about 10 RPM, and the maximum is 256. So we have a lot of space to grow. And the way we're going to do that is with a rotational speed controller, which is honestly a pretty simple crafting recipe. It's just a brass casing and a precision mechanism. And the brass casing is laughably easy, but the precision mechanism is a little bit more complicated. You see, if we search precision here, nothing comes up. And just like last episode, that's not because I don't have the recipe. It's because you can't make it in a crafting table. Nor can you make it in this mechanical crafter that we made in the last episode for the crushing wheels. You have to make it with something called sequenced assembly, which just requires 2 things, a deployer and a depot. And pretty much the way it works is you give it the initial ingredient with a precision mechanism, that's a gold sheet, and then you give it the other ingredients you need. For instance, a small cogwheel, which is the first step, and that will make a incomplete precision mechanism because you need to add more stuff to it. First is a large cogwheel, and then an iron nugget. Now, the only problem with precision mechanisms is once it adds this, it's not done. It's still incomplete, and you can kind of see a little durability bar. It needs a lot more stuff. That's because I have to do those 3 things 5 more times. There's the last iron nugget going in, and we have our precision mechanism. I was a little worried there, because with this recipe specifically with sequenced assembly, there's a chance you just get, like, essentially garbage out of it, like you get 1 small cogwheel instead of a precision mechanism. So there's a little bit of a chance for all those resources to mean nothing, but we got a precision mechanism, which means that we can actually make the rotational speed controller. There's the brass casing, and now all we need to do is combine the 2 of them like that, and we have our rotational speed controller. Now all I have to do is implement it, so I've dug out a little place here and adjusted the whole axle system. So we put the rotational speed controller there, we put a large cogwheel on top of it, and it's going. That's already faster. This is now running at a good 16 RPM, which is significantly better than 10, but we want more. We want 256, which of course breaks it, because the more speed you do, the more stressed it gets, and that's right, it is an engineer's nightmare. But pretty much for this to run at 256 RPM, it needs just about 15,000 stress units. My windmill provides like 5, so let's see, what number can I get this to run on? I bet 64 is my guess. I am correct, somehow. Yeah, okay, so 64 is the speediest I can run this thing, and if we have it running at that, it should process things a lot faster. You can already see that is spinning at record speeds, and the floor is in the way, but this is also spinning quite fast. So this should process ore a lot faster, but I want the maximum speed. I want it to run at 256, which while that might be a little bit ambitious, I really would like this thing to process ore just like at lightning speeds. So we need a better power source. First option is build 2 more of these bad boys, because that would get me up to 15,000, but that is a really temporary solution, because that would mean, first of all, I'd have to actually find a place to put 2 more windmills without it looking ridiculous, and while I could probably manage that, it'd be a lot of work. And also, if I wanted to run literally any other machine, I would have to either turn this off or install even more windmills. So I want to go with something a little bit more permanent, which essentially means I want to go with a steam engine. Steam engines, or boilers, are actually really complicated, which is why I'm here in the empty void of my creative testing world to show them off. They require 3 things: size, water, and heat. Size is really easy. It's just make it this big. It's just a lot of copper, essentially. Water is similarly quite easy. You get 3 pumps, function at maximum speed, and you get maximum water. If they're a little bit slower, you don't, and if you could use more pumps, I assume, but 3 pumps maximum speed is a pretty easy way to do it. However, heat is very difficult. Any vanilla source of heat, be it fire or campfires or even soul fire, only gets you one measly little tick of heat, which will not generate a whole lot of energy. You need blaze burners to get anything productive done, and these, when they're not fueled, only produce one tick of heat. But if I go ahead and turn all of these on with some coal, we get like half efficiency. But to get maximum efficiency, you have to feed them all blaze cakes, and this puts them into this blue superheated state, and that gets you maximum heat. And now if I had hooked up water to this one, this would be producing about 256,000 stress units, which is like enough to fuel my base for ages. So now the question becomes, how do we get large amounts of blaze cake? Well, to make blaze cake, you combine an egg, some sugar, and some cinder flour, which is just crushed up netherrack, in a mechanical press, and it will squish that into a blaze cake base. Now this you can put under this thing called a spout, and if you give that some lava, which that should hopefully do, I don't know how long it takes, but there we go, lava's in there. Once it amasses enough lava, it squirts a little bit on, and we get a blaze cake. And this thing can, of course, put blazes into the supercharged state. And I have just completely wasted it, because I'm just that smart. So, I need to automate this, like fully automate this, because I need 9 blaze cake every 50 seconds if I want that boiler to be at full capacity all the time. So this needs to be constantly going, and it needs to be really efficient. Pretty much means I need automated farms for sugarcane, eggs, and netherrack. But netherrack isn't possible, so we'll just worry about the sugarcane eggs for now. I think I'm pretty much just going to take my automatic mining machine and throw it in the nether for a little bit, and that should get us more than enough. But the other two we can automatically farm, and Create makes it really easy. So let's start with sugarcane. We're back in the creative testing world to show off another beautiful thing that Create adds, and this time it's the mechanical harvester, and this is going to help us farm sugarcane. Pretty much how it works is if you push it forward or rotate it around, it will break stuff like sugarcane, and while the top one gets, broken, turned into an item, the other one gets put into this barrel next to it. And with this, we can create giant machines that harvest sugarcane for us, and that will automate the process so much that I think we will easily get enough sugarcane to make as much blaze cake as we need. And I've already made a design and gathered all the resources, so without further ado, let's jump straight into a time lapse. Well, that turned out pretty well, but as you may have seen in the time-lapse, there were a couple of issues. Mainly that all of the sugarcane broke. It kind of just, got flooded at some point during the construction process, which kind of makes sense. It's underwater. And that one's easy enough to fix. I just placed all of the sugarcane. And the other problem was also quite easy to fix. It was that I designed this farm in Creative with night vision on, which means it didn't have light sources. So I just put in some glowstone on both levels, and now it is happily generating plenty of sugarcane, and all that sugarcane, when it's generated, gets dumped out here into this item vault, which can hold 101,000 items, and that is helpfully displayed right here. And if this thing ever fills up, I won't be that shocked, because it's actually going to be constantly running, and it'll probably fill up quite fast. But it should be more than enough sugarcane to make a blaze cake factory. So now let's go move on to eggs. Except egg farms are much harder to make, and it's not because there's some insane, technical thing. It's just that, if you want a lot of eggs, you need a lot of chickens, and that is that. There's no way to improve it, and I don't have any chickens. Luckily, that shouldn't be too hard, because we can pop on over into my little weird nether hub, this portal, which kind of just leads over to my tree farming area. But if I remember correctly, there are actually chickens over here. I really hope that nether portal noise isn't too loud. I always remember those being horrible. But there's chickens somewhere in this forest. I don't know where, but somewhere there's chickens. I also have my cows here, so I'm gonna go find some and probably actually go grab some leads so I can easily lead them, because I don't have seeds either. And we're just gonna bring them back here and breed 1 billion of them. I've got some seeds, I've got some leads, and most importantly, chickens. Now, since it's becoming nighttime, I want to get back because I don't want to die. Luckily, chickens don't take fall damage, so I can kind of just jump down into the river And one of the leads already. No, wait, no, he's just down there. No, we're fine. Both the leads are still fully intact. He's breakdancing. This is gonna work, right? You know, it didn't, but also both of them did. They're just floating down. Both of them did come down. So, I mean, technically it worked, even if the leads broke and I've lost one of them and therefore can't re-lead one of my Where did that lead go? Way down there. Okay. Thought items were supposed to float since 1.16 or something. Anyway, got 2 chickens. I have some seeds and I have a boatload more in my house, so let's go ahead and breed them up. Is that enough? I think that's enough, considering it's causing my FPS to be like cut in half up in the top left corner there. I don't know how many chickens this is. It's probably well above my goal of 120, and I have a lot more eggs in case it's not, but this is not a very functional chicken farm. I mean, I can go in here and get 1 billion eggs quite fast, but they're not being automatically collected or anything, and also it's a bit ugly. So instead, I'm going to make a new hole for these chickens, probably like over here somewhere, just so it's kind of close to the sugarcane farm, because both those two things are going to go to the same place eventually. And we're going to move 120 of them over, which I hope is not all of them, because this is causing, like I said, a lot of lag in my world. As fun as it is to just, like, throw eggs at them, it's not worth it. So I'm going to go move them to a hole where they look a bit nicer and hopefully affect my performance a bit less. So originally I was going to move them one by one with a lead and not show it, because that would be really boring. But then I decided that would be really boring. So instead, I've dug this tunnel that goes from the chickens all the way up and over to where the chicken farm will be, which is just kind of a glass window in the wall currently. But, you know, we'll make it pretty later. I have some seeds, and the idea is I'm going to break this block and just, like, lure them over there. And I don't see what could possibly go... It's so many chickens. They just keep going. Oh, my God. There's so many chickens. So, they're not all gonna fit in this little hole, right? But the idea is that, like, I'll put them in, and then once entity cramming starts taking effect, they'll just, like, die until they're at the amount of chickens I actually want, which should be around 120, because that is how, like, 24 times 6 blocks. And it looks like I've run out of chickens, and I need... more. So many chickens. This is beautiful. I love it. Oh my God. Chickens, let me up, please. Oh, there's so many. Okay. This is still gonna take a while, but damn, this is so much more fun than doing them one at a time with a lead. Why did I ever think that was a good option? They have officially started to die to entity cramming, which means I am officially done. I think, like, if I hold seeds, yeah, you can see some smoke go up when I hold seeds, and that is them compacting themselves to the point that some of them die to entity cramming. And I don't know how many chickens this is. Probably more than 120, I would guess. But you can see all of the dead chicken bits kind of around. So I can't possibly fit any more in there, which means we're good. So I'm going to go ahead, finish making this pretty, and probably attach a proper storage system to this, because I think half the reason it's so laggy is because there are just so many items down here. Look at all of those eggs, and here I was thinking this farm might not produce enough, but we've got 154 since I moved the chickens here, so I think we're good, and this also has a capacity of 101,000, I think, so we should be good forever, hopefully. And now that we have eggs and also sugarcane, we have all the ingredients we need to build a blaze cake factory, which of course I have already designed and gathered all of the many resources for. So without further ado, let's hop in to another time lapse. I've never really done a build like this, but I think it turned out absolutely amazing. It's just a giant blaze trapped in a giant blaze cage, to be kind of symbolic of what the blaze cakes being produced inside are for. If we head inside, I think this is actually one of the better Tudor style thingies I've done. It is just the same style as everything else I've built, but I just think it looks nice. And if we head back behind this wall, this is the actual factory itself, which I haven't hooked up to rotational power, but we'll get to why in a second. But pretty much, you're going to input sugarcane, netherrack, and eggs. The sugarcane netherrack will go into these crushing wheels to produce sugar and cinder flour, respectively. And then, of course, they all get combined in these mechanical presses, which get outputted, and lava gets added to them. And this brings us to why I haven't hooked it up to rotational power yet. Lava is, in theory, coming from these incredibly glitched out tanks. I don't know why the texture is doing this, but these aren't filled with lava. They're quite empty, actually, both of them. And to fill them with lava, these both hold, I don't remember the exact number, but it's somewhere around like a couple thousand buckets. And this goes through lava really fast. It's 1 bucket of lava gets you 3 blaze cake, and I need 9 per minute is how many this thing is going to be pumping out. So I'm going to need these things to both be full, and they're obviously not. So I need an insane amount of lava. Now you might say, why not just hop into the nether? There's plenty of lava there, but the thing is, I need a constant stream of lava, and to be getting 3 buckets of lava from the nether to my blaze cake farm every minute would require like chunk loaders and trains and all this, like a ton of stuff that I just don't have. So I'd really like to get it from the overworld just so I can pump it directly, because you can't put pumps through a nether portal. However, if we pop on into free cam, I've been looking around. There's not a super great body of lava. There's one decent candidate over here. You might think this is an insane amount of lava, but I'll tell you, this will run out quite quick if we were just continuously pumping out of it. Luckily, Create does do a thing where if a body of liquid is more than 10,000 blocks, it considers it infinite. This is not 10,000 blocks, unfortunately, which I am so disappointing, because it would have been so easy to just throw a pump in here, pump it up to the blaze cake factory, and bada bing, bada boom, we're done. But it's not that easy. So I'm going to have to build a 10,000 block thing of lava just so I can have an infinite source for this blaze cake factory. And that will take forever. And sadly, forever is not the amount of time left in this video's time code. But who knows? Maybe the next video will have forever to make a pool of lava. So for now, I really hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you next time.